Welcome to this course dedicated to a beautiful Beethoven Sonata in G major. This is an entry-level Beethoven Sonata, probably one of the simplest, but it doesn't mean that it's simple. It's a quite tricky piece actually, and of course it needs a good motion coordination, and of course it needs to be played with a lot of elegance and precision as any classical work in order to really sound beautiful. So in this lesson I will explain you how to practice this piece in order to learn it as quickly as possible. So let's start from the beginning, and first we will coordinate motions, analyze a little bit what we have here, and figure out what would be the best way to master this piece, what would be the most effective practicing strategy. So usually people struggle a little bit already between this first chord and this passage, because there is a question like whether you have to hold the pedal, whether you have to finish the chord a bit earlier. So my suggestion to you would be to press this chord with the pedal, with your foot, and then you would release the right hand somewhere around the second beat, after the second beat. So you would play like 1, 2, 3. And when you play 3, you're already prepared, yeah? So you move in advance, holding this chord with the pedal, and then you release the pedal precisely on 3, and the left hand also. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's probably the simplest way to execute this chord. And I would not disconnect them. This sounds a little bit artificial to me, because I rather perceive this arpeggiated thing as a continuation of the chord. Like this, yeah. But for this we have to move the hand during the second beat to prepare our hand, holding this chord with the pedal. Regarding this arpeggio, probably a good idea would be to play it with 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1. So it would be like within one hand position. And also whenever we play such arpeggiated turns, we always would play on a pull-in motion, like out of the keyboard. These sounds, and then for the fourth finger we move in like this, so 4 notes out and then in, and then of course working through it a few times, making sure that you transfer the weight from finger to finger in a comfortable tempo, in a tempo in which you can control this coordination, that the weight of the arm is being transferred from one finger to another finger absolutely freely, the way you walk, yeah, and you release the previous fingers really well. Then in order to boost your reflexes, you can also learn it in pairs, in dotted rhythms, and then oppositely. But when you do that, of course, feel the impulses from the elbow for each note, and free up the hand right after the hit. So while you hold a longer note, just free up the hand like this. Free up. Make sure that you're not holding unnecessary tension, and that each note is accented properly and evenly. Yeah? So they should sound very evenly when you learn them with a bit more support, with a bit more strength in the fingers, in order to train your fingers. Then we will get further in the interpretation lesson. We will get further and explore other ways to work and to shape this passage and many others. Then we get to the second bar. Here you see we have a slur for 3 notes, and in general a very important tip here. So whenever you see a slur, it shows you where you have to release your hand. So the last note of a slur is typically played a bit lighter and already on kind of like lifting up motion, when you would raise the forearms a tiny bit and release your fingers properly. Just make sure not to pull up the fingers, yeah? So this is wrong, yeah? You just relax the fingers, relax the palms of your hand, and raise the forearms in order to be ready for the next position. Like this. Regarding fingering, would be a nice idea to play 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 1. And here we get to 1, 1, 5, 4, 2, 1. And in the left hand, you think in motives. So one motive. And then we have set of disconnected notes. I would play them with kind of tenuto, with a good support. And they go all the way to G. So this first G in bar 3 is the engine of the previous motif. The motif is finished. Release the hand, and the second G already belongs to the next motif. So at first you learn it with a gap and making sure that you release the hand properly. Release, take your time, and then play this separately as a separate element. Then you will diminish that gap between them. But this planning, like this understanding of motif structures, help you to coordinate your motion in such a way that you won't accumulate tension between these repeated notes. And then start a new element. In the right hand also we can play non-legato, release, release. Before a trill we always would release the hand, release, and then you approach the trill kind of a little bit from above on one uniting arm motion. And you can choose how many turns you need. If you want some challenge, you can try to do like 2 turns and then those great notes. But it might be a little bit challenging for some learners because it requires a very good mechanic, first of all, very light mechanic, and of course a lot of like motor reflexes, very good dexterity. That's why if you are not unsure, you can start from 1 turn, like 3 notes, and then additionally grace notes. So you have like this. And the best fingering for such trills is to play the exit, those great notes, with fingers 1, 3, 2. So you play the trill with fingers 2, 3, 2, and then you play 1, 3, 2, like this. If I would play a trill with a goal of playing 2 turns, but on a heavier mechanics, like this piano is quite resilient, it has a very heavy mechanic, and I feel a little bit like stressed when playing it with fingers 2, 3. Well, it works actually. But if I'm not sure, I would rather play it with a 1, 3. Because when you play with 1, 3, staying really close to the keys, but nevertheless employing a rotational motion, you can play trills with a better efficiency. So. Something like that. But 1 turn is also absolutely fine, because the tempo will be quite vivid here. Then we have a similar section, so also pedal, move your hand on the second beat, release everything on the third beat. In the left hand we have a similar thing we had before, but now with a D on top. That's why at first we would learn it with a good rotational motion, making sure that the weight of the hand freely transfers from one finger to another one. Making sure that the thumb is as supported. And this bar 8, this spot is a little bit tricky in bar 8. That's why also we think about G, F, E. And E is the end of the previous motif. So we make a gap here, release the hand properly, and the last 4 notes, G, F sharp, A, G. This is a new element. So you learn with a gap and relaxation first. Stop. And while you stop, you see you approach G with the second finger. Like this. So at the end we have. And then all together, but nevertheless keeping in mind that this is a separate element. Like this. And you can also release the finger a bit faster. Articulating the last 4 notes a bit more clearly. This will prevent this clumsiness which very often appears in this bar. In the right hand as well. It's absolutely okay to play 1 turn, but you can also challenge yourself with two turns. But you always start learning trills from a good embedded sensation in the bottom of the key. And you feel how the weight of the hand transfers. So you activate the fingertip, the nail joint of the finger, but nevertheless with the goal of reaching the bottom and feeling supported here. and just releasing the fingers after the hit, so you don't do this. Yeah, this is bad. And then we have a more tender element. Also, you see these slurs, and you do them literally. So release. When we have two notes, the first one, two notes connected with the slur, the first one will be a bit louder, more supported, and the second one very tender, much softer. Then we don't have legato, so theoretically we could also play non-legato starting from F sharp. In bar 12, we release the finger first before proceeding to the mordent, and I would suggest you to play this G with the thumb, and then we play 4, 3, 2, 1. And you play that before the second beat, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so this is our rhythm, 1 and 2, pom 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 pom. So at first you learn it with a good support, with a bit more energy at the fingertip when you hit the key, and then you can shape it dynamically already when you feel confident. Following the link in the description, you will find a complete course on this piece where you will get a detailed guide on technique efficiency, expressiveness, and many other useful tips to help you improve your piano playing skills.